April the 18th, 2020. This is the Service Hero Show. 365 days of awesome. Celebrate success through service. My name is Tamara Hunter, and today we are actually revisiting with one of our service heroes, someone that I asked to come on live with me. We've got a little bit of a feedback situation. Pauline, do you have earbuds? I didn't think of asking.
Yes,
okay, they're in. Okay, I just want to make sure everybody that's here, if there's a feedback situation, please let me know. All right, so I actually asked Pauline to come on special with us today because of the events that are happening in our world, in our homes, in our communities, in our lives. Many of us are going to be able to relate because this woman is she's actually Dr. Pauline Crawford Omps. She is a specialist on a worldwide level when it comes to conversations in the workforce to other. I'll let her explain all of that. However, the bottom line is this, is that she has done her work throughout the years and has been educating people throughout the world on how we can effectively communicate better and then find the magic in those conversations. So I want to welcome you today, Pauline. It's so great to see you. It's so wonderful to catch up with you.
It's absolutely fabulous to catch up with you as well. And it's just, it is a magic day. And I think that's the starting point, is that we need to find a way to feel magical every day. And of course, this is quite challenging today because of the world situation we're in. And we know that. And I liken it to like being in a pressure cooker. I mean, I don't actually have a pressure cooker myself, but I remember my mum had a pressure cooker. And there was always that time when everything would be going wrong in the cooker and it would suddenly blow. Do you remember that?
My mom never had one because her mom had one and it traumatized her so much. She's like, I'm never having one of those in my kitchen.
Well, they're not, I don't think people have them nowadays. So maybe people watching won't know what the hell it is, but it's a very tight pan where the seal is, and there's a valve on the top, which is to allow the steam to come out at the right kind of speed. But if things go wrong inside, it's like a volcano, and it will actually. And as a kid, I always remember I was so terrified if it went off, because it would actually, on occasion, throw things out into the kitchen.
Well, there is a very popular kitchen a unit now that's called the One Pot or something, and it has a bit of that on it. Yes. And I've heard stories about
well, that's right,
potatoes all over the ceiling,
Well, that's right, and of course the metaphor in our lives is that where we're in lockdown and we're with our nearest and dearest, or we may be on our own, or whatever it is, even if it's a really good relationship or not, it's going to be in a pressure cooker. So we're going to have these pressures, and we're all individuals and we're all unique in our way, and we all believe the world should be just the way we see it. And this is the lesson that we are learning by default of this virus. And I think I want to talk about that is, like I say in my book, magical conversations are not fluffy. They're wonderful and they're creative and they're joyful, but they are a proactive situation. And what I mean by that is usually arguments and pressure cooker stuff happens when we're being reactive. I don't like that. I don't like that. That's not what I think. You didn't do this. I want you to do that. We start getting into that. Not a conversation. It's argumentative communication. And I think that's what we need to really look at, is that communication and conversation for me are very different. Conversation is a flow.
Okay.
It's going to be a magical conversation. I often say it's making the unbelievable believable. So, when you watch a really, really good magician, and, some of the best ones are just, they literally are magical. We watch them and we go, I'm sure he passed that solid steel coin through a glass, and I know that's not possible, but he did it. And we know there's it's unbelievable, but it becomes believable. So for me, the magical conversation is when we really allow ourselves to contribute, but allow whatever we desire to come into it without controlling it. And that's the trick is not to control us. So the challenge is, how do we deal with the pressure?
Right. And, and I want to recognize we have some guests here with us. We have some of our buddies that have joined us, some of our chemo buddies. I love it when they do that. We have Rachel Johnson. I'm grateful that you're here with us. We have Miss Ambassador Helene Wilson. She is our chat ambassador for our community. Welcome. She's actually one of my chemo buddies for life. And I want to recognize we have Dr. Olympia Giuliani with us. Always wonderful when you are here with us, a true humanitarian that believes that we really do need to get back to some old-fashioned values in our cinema and our film. And I just absolutely love that. And he's saying hello with love for my heart for the beautiful family and friends of those that are here. We'll put it that way. Those that are here, and the magic. I want to go back onto that piece of it, because you actually sent this over, and I love this little image in that sometimes we need a little magic, and we have Magic Mondays now in our chat, and we have two hilarious hosts. I think we'll have to have you in to the Chemo Buddy for Life closed group, because what we do in that is we allow for chat to take place with our buddies, and many of them, as you know, that are facing cancer, they're not necessarily wanting to get on camera or even their voices be heard, because like I didn't have a voice going through cancer, guys. I had chemo sores on my vocal cords. Things change, and you know this because you are a support buddy. You have, and we'll go into this. And so magic is what we've been talking about every Monday night. And I'll tell you, we had the biggest group of people that show up because they're fun, they're magical, but yet they have, always some kind of a really great thought or something behind it. But the community has, if you will, a written conversation, and in conversation, especially in these days, I want to really go here a bit in that we be creative in the way that we are communicating or having a conversation, the flow with people, because we right now, like the two of us, we right now are in two different locations. We have cameras on us, yet we are having a conversation together, right? And there's many, you see it now, many families, many friends, many cocktail hours, many groups that are using these methods. And yet not everybody has the technology or the ability to do that, or feels like they can. So the written word, there's a lot of different style, even body language when we're seeing it through the camera. There's a lot of different things that go with the flow of conversation, right?
Absolutely. And one of the key things here is value differences. Value everything. And so this is different to what are your values. And I make the distinction. So just valuing being in the moment, being here, valuing the fact that we're in this curiously extraordinary situation in the world, and there's some really terrible things going on, but there's some really wonderful things going on as well. So valuing differences and seeing that the world is curiously being brought together through a single external issue. And that's very powerful. It's what brings families together. It's what brings countries together, and in different ways. I think for me, it's about making sure in your pressure cooker, you value the ingredients.
Oh, that's good.
The ingredients are, so for instance, I'm in lockdown. with my husband Jim and our dog Honeybee, who is a recent acquisition. In fact, curiously, she came along when I was in Manila. So I actually went to Manila in
Right.
January.
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna. Yeah, I want to talk about that when we get through this point. Yes.
But what was interesting was that when I was away, our business partner Lisa said to me, "I'm sure Jim would love having a dog." I said, "Oh, I'm sure he would," but he's often said no when I've suggested it. But she suggested it and took him to this dog rescue place. And this dog, Honey, is almost identical. She's a slightly different breed, but she's almost identical to the dog that Jim used to have called Blondie, hence Honey Bee.
Got it.
Blondie. And he fell in love with her. And that was it. Their eyes bonded across the rescue dog pond or whatever it was, you know.
Whatever that magical moment was, it took place, right?
It took place. And I think she was, and I do believe, and this is, I think the other thing we need to work out in the pressure cooker is our beliefs. My belief is everything happens for a reason. She was meant to come into our life. She is very like, and I did meet this dog of Jim's just before she passed on. And it has made a difference. For a start, we have another companion in our lockdown. We can go out for a walk with her because we need to, we have to, short walks, but we have a walkway behind us. So I kind of think now we're here, gosh, isn't that interesting that Honey's with us? Right. Because it is a different energy. It's another energy in this lockdown. Mm-hmm. So I think everything happens for a reason. If we can hold on to that when things are going a bit, you know, that's when we can find a bit of space and say, no, we're all meant to be here. I mean, I do feel really more compassion for people who are literally on their own and maybe in a high-rise flat and haven't got the outside. I mean, that, you know, I'm very blessed because literally we're on the ground floor and we've got a huge walkway behind us. So remember what you've been blessed with. I think that's the other thing, is know that, you know, you are blessed. But the other thing you mentioned, which is this online, the writing and the Zooming.
Right, yeah.
I think we just need to remember differences. Like some people don't like big Zooms. You know, they find if there's several people online, even if they're all family, it's still too much because they don't like the noise. Whereas maybe if you're very extrovert, you like it, it's fun. You know, I had a family Zoom a couple of weeks ago with my English family, and everybody was talking over each other. Drove me mad. But I could cope with it because I just wanted to see with them. Whereas, you know, my son said, oh, I can only get on for 5 minutes. After that, it's all too much. Even though one-to-one, he's fine. Mm. So I think it's about respecting each person's difference. And this is where we need to value our differences. And what I'm curious in a way, I'm very joyful about this situation because I've been writing for years about how argumentative people have been. Why are people arguing? Why do we get so politically dysfunctional? Why do we get, you know, why do people argue all the time? Surely that's a waste of time. And now, of course, people, in a way, we've got two situations. One where we're being more compassionate and seeking to be one planet. At the same time, we're in lockdown where pressure cooker situation will turn up. And I think it's by acknowledging that it is a pressure cooker, maybe a good one. So we make sure we do something for ourselves and for our relationships that can make a difference. And that for me is a proactive action, not a reactive action. So I don't know whether people understand that, but it's a very important difference. Our reactive nature is in all of us. Something goes wrong and we react very quickly. It could be good or bad. But if we're proactive, we're thinking about it consciously. And we say, right, today I'm going to set out to have magical conversations.
I love that. And in fact, that's why I grabbed these two images, because I was thinking about what it is that you do. And I even thought, okay, the bedroom to the bedroom, you know, boardroom to the bedroom, is that we can have these magical conversations. And right now, more than I think any other time in the history of the world, because of not only, because we've had other pandemics. I mean, we have, but we didn't necessarily have pandemics where we had both spouses were working individuals, possibly that possibly they could be working from home together in the environment. So then you bring in the combination of not only the relationship, but you can also bring, I mean, there's the whole thought that you may have people, I had an image and I guess I didn't bring it in, but like right next to each other with two different computers and trying to do, their thing and having it be closed in. Not everybody has the ability or the size of an environment where you can have your own space. That can be the case, but in some cases it's not yet. With the right tools, you can figure out how you can still create that, something for yourself to then be able to say, okay, I have now calmed down. I'm not being reactive. I now want to be proactive. But you need to be able to recognize that or pull yourself out of the situation, right? Or
it is as they say, it's a thinking state. It's the classic old thing where you said, when you're, maybe your parents said that to you, but count to 10 before you do something. 1, 2.
Why do they do my system? 10. Okay.
But it's to make you pause. So it's like, it's even like we've all got this instruction to wash our hands for 20 seconds or singing happy birthday to her. I mean, the reason it's there is it's pause. And like, it's interesting because we can pause on the computer. So, you're watching a video and you think, gosh, I need to go to the bathroom or restroom or whatever it is. So I pause it.
Right.
So why not pause on your life and say, almost mentally say to yourself, okay, this is getting the wrong energy around me. Let's pause. And hopefully you've got a bathroom or at least one other room in your apartment, or you can do something. You can shut your eyes.
Yeah.
And we do have computers, so we can go into the computer. I have a Qigong session, which I do every morning, which is online. So I put it on and I follow the actions and I
do. Angel Marie was talking about that. That's kind of like the flow of energy, but it's more about breathing, right? And
well, that's right. It's breathing, and often it's very still movement, but this particular one I will share. I'll put it on your timeline and you can share it. It's a local in Las Vegas, JC, and I actually did a Qigong class in Malaysia when I lived there, and that was an hour, but this is literally 7 minutes, and it's called a warm-up. So it's actually, you stand in one place, but you're moving your arms a lot and your body. And I love dancing, so the other thing I've got is a dance video, which I put on my timeline as well, which is dancing to Footloose, and it's
I love it.
And what's lovely, it's a compilation of all the most wonderful dancers that I've ever admired in my life. So Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, Patrick Swayze, John Travolta, Elvis.
You're talking my people. Yeah.
And it's the kind of music that if you're a dancer, and I believe that everybody has dance in them, as soon as you hear it, your foot's tapping. And what it does is it takes you out of your thinking mind, where the angst has been, to just in that moment. And it's probably, 4 or 5 minutes. So using these tools and techniques to give yourself the time out, do the Qigong, do the dancing, read something, that's inspirational. So coming back to relationships, which is all about, whether you're talking on screen, whether you're talking in your lockdown, or you're talking through text messages, always remember that to my mind, there's 3 parts of value creation. This is really key. The first part is me, you, each one of you out there. So that's the first arrow. That's the only arrow that you have any control over. You can stop things, you can start things, you can choose, you can breathe, you can say, everything is in that arrow. What do you know about yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? And just do a quick checklist, and I'll give you an exercise in a minute. The second arrow is you and me.
Is this one? Is this the arrow?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to just bring this up and so that they can see this as you're talking. Okay. Okay. Keep going.
So the second arrow is relationships. It's attraction. It's you and me. Mm-hmm. So you and everybody in your lockdown, you and anybody on screen, you and the postman, you and the delivery boy, you and the person you pass on the doggy walk. Your relationship with that other person is about you. So what attention are you applying to that relationship? You set the awareness for the me, and now you're doing the you and me. Now, the third arrow is the me and we. The third arrow is actually the action part. And we have lived in a world which is all about action. What we need to do now is to start with a world which is about awareness and attention and intention as well. So this value creation cycle, which is a fundamental Buddhist principle, but it puts the onus back on us as individuals to understand ourselves and to know what we're gifting, and I use that not just giving, but gifting to another person or other people. Does that make sense? Yeah. So when we get to the we, which is our current world and will be our future world, which is for me is what we need to think about. What are we creating now in this future we that we need to pay attention to the me and you? So there's some do you remember I said about the 1 to 10? What I use is a very simple guide. So if you imagine yourself in the me arrow, the awareness is, are you 1 to 10 physically fit? A 10 is absolutely amazingly fit. You've done your Qigong and your dance. And if you're a 2, then you really need to pay attention to how physically fit you can be. The next one is your mental capacity. Are you a half glass empty or a half glass full? If you're a 10, then you're always a half glass full. You're a positive person, but you know that you need to work on that. And if you're a 2, then you need to think about what can I do to help my mental ability to have a good mindset. The third one is our emotional score. So a 10 is we love everybody. We're totally happy with every single thing around us emotionally. And a 2 is we're really edgy and we're angry and we're just fighting with ourselves as well as other people. And then the last one, I call it our spiritual card. You know, do you have a sense of that we will get through this? We will all get through it. I believe that so fundamentally, even on days when it all comes in a bit too much, I still go back to that belief. This is meant to be. This is the planet asking us to take attention and awareness before we take action. Yes?
Absolutely, yes. You know, and thank you for explaining that so thoroughly. And if anybody has any questions, I'd love for you to put them in the comments. Also, #live, #replay. And when we're done with this, Helene, I mean, Pauline, I'm so sorry. I was looking at Helene here because she's telling you, Pauline, love my kind, like that's my kind of music. You know, I love it, my kind of music. And but you know, if you can also put in your contact information, and so that they can be following you, because you do have such great information right now.
Well, that's good, and a lot of this is in my book, so that's a good starting place. So the book is on Amazon. You can buy the hard copy or Kindle, but and I don't know where I can put the details. But if you go find my calendar, come and talk to me for free on Zoom for half an hour, and let's find out if I can help you, because that's my joy, to serve the world, to help them understand this value creation. This value creation cycle has saved me so many times. And I tell you why, because what it says to me is I need to take responsibility for me. Right. So if I'm in an argument or I'm and I get into black moods, you know, I don't want people to think I had some seriously down days last week, and I just I started having a conversation with myself. I thought, no, I need to have a magical conversation with me and get back to what is my value, what is my mission, what is what I see ahead that's going to keep me along this path. And it takes some talking, you know, and writing. And I would really recommend to people is to have a journal and write down how you're feeling, warts and all. So all the good stuff and the bad stuff, and then be grateful for even the bad stuff. You know, this challenge is monumental, what we're all facing, and it's not going to go away. And I hope you can see my my picture in the background here.
Here, just a minute. I will get it, and so that they can. There you go.
Well, it's a lighthouse, and it's in a storm. And basically, one of my messages to people is that we are each a lighthouse, and the lighthouse keeper is actually inside that building. And this is actually a real picture that was taken from a helicopter. And the lighthouse keeper has come out onto the parapet to see the helicopter wave. And the sea is coming in behind him. And he goes indoors. You can see the guy. He goes indoors just at the time when the wave swamps around him. And you realize the keeper of the lighthouse has been there the whole time. Our message inside us is what we've got to hold on to. So what is your message? Not necessarily to the whole world, but what's your message to yourself? It's like you have a very, very wonderful message. You've been running Kimmer Buddies for this last few years, and I've known you. And the message is always solid. Support, service, be there. Connect with somebody who's in that place of anxiety. What is everybody's lighthouse message? And the thing about the lighthouse is, and that is a genuine picture.
It's amazing. I'm going to bring it back up. I'm going to hide my.
And in fact, there's a sequence of 3 just below the picture, which I've used in various posts, and I'll send you another time. The sea actually comes round. And you've got to remember with the lighthouse doesn't move, but it sends a light across the sea so that ships don't crash on the rocks. So all the ships that are, you could say, all the countries of the world that are dealing with this current virus, they're looking for that light. We're all sharing ideas. We're trying to find out how we can learn from another country's way of dealing with coronavirus. We're pouring sympathy out to countries and people who have either become ill and died or suffering from it. We're sharing, we're caring. So if each one of us understand the lighthouse, that the lighthouse is made to be solid and not to move, and it is warning of danger and giving safety. So I think if we can hold on to that and maybe spend some time writing about, it doesn't have to be some grand message. It could be just to be a good person in my family.
Yeah.
To learn how to cook, or I don't know, learn how to massage each other. I don't know, whatever it is.
Right. Well, you know, I did see one family, one of my friends that lives up in the northern part of California, that she posted, she doesn't post a lot, but she posted this picture of her husband and her teenage boys learning how to do yoga. And I thought, how cool was that? That was very proactive. That was unusual. It was something creative. It was something healthy, something bonding. I mean, you could keep going on and on and on. And it really meant something to me. I thought, wow, that how wonderful of a gift, not only for, who knows if they've been doing it before or not, she didn't really say, but for these teenager boys, for the husband, for herself, and then for all of us, that she then decided to share this.
Yes. Well, that's right.
It was incredibly inspirational to me.
That's right. Another gift I want to give to everybody is that, and it's one of the things I teach all my clients, we all have natural gifts that we didn't get at school. We got them when we got born. But usually, and there's Amy. Hi, Amy.
Yeah.
What happens is we went to school and some of those natural gifts came out. But, you know, I was a natural mathematician. I was a very bad linguist. So I got very bad. Oh, yeah, I got very bad. I used to get -30 in French dictation. I mean, it was hilarious because my sister was really good at languages. So the French mistress couldn't understand. But my sister wasn't good at maths. So what happens is you tend to get taught all the things that you don't do well in order to be a rounded person and all this stuff. But I always get people to go back to what was your natural talent, and it might have been being an introvert. Maybe it was being a cook because you were good at smells. Maybe I was a natural dressmaker because I used to like geometry. Those things don't seem related, but they are. I always used to like chatting, and I got told by my teacher that I talk too much. So there you go. But, you know, when we go back to our natural ability, very often it's been taken away from us at school, not really meaning to, but that's the way the education system is. And we'll leave that for another day. But
yeah,
I want you
but
to go
that's
back
making
to
me think. I'm trying to think even what would that answer be? Yeah.
What would you do naturally? And when people say, well, I don't know, think about what you do where you actually do it very well. And when he says, oh, you do that very well, you say, oh, no, I don't, because I always do that. It's like something we do naturally. See, I find that people who are very good cooks, I cook, but I'm not really a good cook. I don't have a good sense of smell. So often you have a good sense of smell because you understand tastes. I love dressmaking because I love fabric. And some people have an eye for decorations and how to decorate places. Some people, they're very good at being the cheerleader. They're very good at, they're the obvious ones, like being an artist, a musician, a writer, being a mechanic, being a social interactive person, or also being, dare I say, like you being a very good philanthropic leader in the community. And then there are other people who are really good at very, very detailed things. They always put things in straight lines and they like them in. So if we start using our natural talents, we don't need to worry about what we did at school. We may have accelerated them, but in the home environment, in the lockdown, think about what you do best and do more of it.
You know, how simple is that? And yet I'm actually right now, I don't know about you guys, and I'd love to be hearing from you. Let me just share, because this is a joke within our closed group, is that Helene is always looking for her purple pen. It's kind of like Where's Waldo kind of thing, you know, and because she loves to write, and so now she's saying her purple pen in her red notebook, you know, and but that's her joking ways of being able to say, I really, I like to write. And she does every evening in her, just with her friends, she'll share it. She always requests for people not to share it out, but she shares her thoughts, and they're so genuine. They're so real. They're just so, you know, they're coming, you can tell, from her heart. And there are many of us that have those things. And I'm even thinking to myself, okay, what would that be? Because I know what those things are that I was trained to do, that I had a lot of help to do. I had years of, you know, this, you know, like I didn't speak when I was a kid. I had 8 years of speech therapy to learn how to speak. Now you don't shut me up because I have a voice, you know. I lost it during my chemotherapy, but I got it again, you know. But I'm thinking the natural thing. That's a good question. And I'd love to hear again from you guys, even if you're replay, do #replay and answer the question, or at least say, I'm thinking about it, because I'm curious to see what others would say. I know some of my friends, I know some of my kids, but, you know, truthfully, Pauline, I don't usually get stumped. You stumped me here. I'm thinking about this.
Well, that's really good, and I mention it in my book, so I will go back to that. Is that I put my own story in here, so it's a storybook. And one of the things I talk about at the beginning is I come from quite a large family. I mean, only 4 of us, but lots of cousins and uncles and aunts, and tea parties in Britain. Tea parties are very important. And I always observed conversation. Now, when I was, I don't know, 8, 9, 10. There were uncles and aunts, and the conversation would always be quiet forever, but there were some people who were very, they'd stop the pontificating or something. There was a particular uncle of mine, and we all used to go, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" And he would say, "Oh, I don't know what you're talking about." And I said, "Oh, I know what you're talking about." And he said, "Oh, okay." And we all used to go, Oh, God.
Here he goes again. Yeah.
As soon as he started, well, I think that, and he would actually be very judgmental. And I'm sure a lot of my original tricks and techniques I put in here come from that early time. And at school, I was always the connector. People would always come to me to find out what was happening with somebody else, which sounds like gossip, but it wasn't. It was like a kind of telegraph pole. And I think one of the things I would suggest to people is always be yourself, but always recognize that people have different styles of conversation.
Right.
I've designed this map called the Gender Dynamics Map, and it helps us understand that some people really don't like conversation. It's the other one, the Magical Conversation book, but this one is going to come out soon, so fingers crossed.
Okay.
But what's interesting is that when somebody really doesn't like conversation, don't try and make them have conversation. Because sometimes men don't like as much conversation as women.
Right.
We chatter and we have some men do, but there's a limit to what it is. And even I fall into that trap. I kind of think, oh, keep on talking. And Jim will say to me, oh no, I think I'm done with this conversation. And it's not being rude. It's just saying that's enough. It's filled up my battery enough, and I need to take the battery out and get it sorted. And we to be aware of that with men and women, especially if we're in the lockdown together with men of different generations. There's different ways that we want to have conversations. For instance, men are much more topic focused. Yes. So they like to talk about football or soccer or whatever it is we have in America now. Remember, I'm British. But, or the racing car or whatever it is, whereas women go from one topic to another at random. And sometimes it totally confuses men. And I think this comes into that, be aware of yourself, of other people. And in this time, take on the challenge of having magical conversations and almost, write them in your book. That magical conversation. That other one didn't go quite so well, but anyway, use it as a test time to see where it, and the reason it's right is because you feel energized, and also you feel creative, and to be open to the possibility of ideas that you hadn't come across before.
That's huge right there. Bingo. And in my own personal situation, because right now I have a house that's glowing over with, and many are in the same situation, in that there are some that if you will have had to bounce back because of the economics and situations. Yes. That if you have the ability to, there's some combinations taking place, and if you can do it so carefully and yes. consciously and everything. So I right now have multiple generations under my roof, and then we are also checking in with other generations, yes. To see how they're doing. And what I have found is that it is taking a little bit more effort, and it is taking a little bit yes. more like, okay, I have to really think this out, because I want to be able to have a learning process. I want to be able to take this time, and I love that word magical, because I've been yes. thinking about creating memories, yes. A time where they'll say, I remember that time. And a lot of people really had these experiences. However, when I look at them personally, in particular my grandkids and my kids, I want them to be able to say, yes, it's like that book. It was the worst of times. It was the best of times. It was tough, yes. Yet we were able to get through it, and we were able to bond, and we were able to grow, and we were able to possibly even heal some wounds.
Yes.
Because this is an opportunity right now, and I actually said it in regards to you coming on to this show, and that was going into this, we can come out of it surviving, if you will, or we can
Yeah.
come out of it thriving, and we can come
Thriving.
out of it in a way where
Yes.
we've learned more skills, yes, individually, yet collectively, you know,
Well,
maybe we want to get together for Thanksgiving again this year, you know, because there's those families that sometimes they're like, oh, I got to do that Thanksgiving dinner again.
but maybe get together and do it differently.
I love it. Yes.
You know, because,
there you go. Yes.
you know, I mean, in England, we don't have Thanksgiving, but, you know, the turkey comes out at Christmas. And I know that Christmas is when we go, well, let's not have turkey. Let's have eggs and bacon. I mean, you know, why not? My ex-husband used to say that, oh, I just have beans on toast. That's fine. And why not? Because it depends what the event is for. Is it for getting together? And we do have an amazing situation at the moment. And for some people, it may not ring true, but, you know, there is a feeling that the virus is setting us free. It's getting us to look at what we've actually done to the earth, to the planet, to ourselves, and how could it be different? And the biggest challenge is those that say, no, it'll never happen. And others going, well, this would never happen. You thought this would never happen. So why couldn't anything happen? And I don't mean that in a revolutionary way, but in an evolutionary way. What I'm going to do, and I welcome you onto this as well, is how can we get together to have the conversations that we need to have about the future without dragging up the past? So what I mean about that is that, you know, let's imagine we could create anything. We would still look for different things. So, you know, if I'm a boomer, I'm a Brit, I'm a mom, I'm a grand. What is my view of the future? It's going to be different to a 20-year-old who's looking at it differently and who's maybe from Africa or Malaysia. So one of my dreams is to start asking different groups, what is your collective view of a future? Without judgment, just literally with a magic wand. So think about that, you know, all of you listening. What would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it sound like? How would it behave? And I'm hoping that would all be positive. If it is, what can we find that's common between a group of men, a group of women, a group of baby boomers, a group of Y-Gen, X-Gen, millennials, a group of LBGT, any sexual orientation? Keep on asking different groups what happens in Malaysia and the Philippines, in England, in Europe, in different parts of America. There would be different views. I wonder what the commonality would be if we're all looking at it positively. I would hope that it's things like a world of love, trust, respect. Now, if we came to that fundamental understanding, we would still have different views about what that looked like and sounded like. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, you know, if I said, well, I'd like a word with, you know, everybody was more shrivelous, you know, more manners, good manners.
Right.
I'd have a different view. Anybody listening might have a different view. That's okay. It's how do we collect those together, and how do we put the no-nos out and the yes-yeses in?
I love that.
My hashtag is #create our future together. But paint the picture first. Is it like when they decided to go to the moon? I don't know, everybody knows that, but they looked at what was the gravitational force on the moon and what would happen as we lifted off the moon. They went backwards. So they worked out what the moon was like, and then they said, let's reverse engineer it. So that's what I'm suggesting. We paint a picture, and then we reverse engineer to now. And we don't go from now policy. I know we've got to do that now, but it's about a matter of the ideal future without being utopian, but moving towards it, and where we are now. And this is where I feel very strongly that women and men working together with clear understanding of our differences is very, very important, because we do have different views on what business and life combinations are.
Right. And we do. And, And I appreciate you talking about that. I just want to go this one step further, and then we'll start wrapping this all up. But you clearly, as you were sharing, you grew up in England. You've lived all over the world. You travel the world. You are recognized in many circles as an international voice for women and empowerment throughout the world. And you just recently, let's just bring this home. Like, you recently were scheduled to go to an event in an area of the world that right now is getting a lot of press. And let's talk about that, because when those people that are out there, this woman is talking about impacting the world, and just imagine what would it be like asking these questions. She's asking them here and now, yet she's used to going out to the world asking these questions, and sitting in even these boardrooms and in these with groups and associations. And you talk about alphabet soup. She's been there and done that. So you just recently went on a trip. Yeah, let's talk about that, because I want people to understand where you're coming from, and that right now, yes, you are on lockdown like everybody else, but you're used to being out there.
I am. And just, briefly, I've lived in the UK all my life until 8 years ago. So 8 years ago, I met Jim in Budapest. Jim is American, and we fell in love. And I came to America and fell in love even more. He invited me to get married, and we got married in Las Vegas in Little Whitechapel. And it sounds very romantic, and it is, but he also suffered with cancer. So he had colon cancer before I met him, and he was not in full recovery. So we had major operations to deal with. And the consequence of that is that instead of living in England, we lived in Malaysia, which may sound romantic, but it wasn't. It was actually a very risky thing to do, but we needed to go somewhere where the immigration authorities wouldn't part us. And that happened to be Malaysia. So that's where he recovered from his 2 operations, because one went wrong. And that's another whole story of service and support, which I had to know how to be a nurse. But anyway, we went to Malaysia to kind of recover. And there I found working with Muslim groups so fascinating. We're working with women and men together, and also working with very senior government women in an environment where women aren't always front of business. Usually the man is. They were being invited to be bold, and I'd run a program for them on how to be bold, which was fascinating. So I had that experience, and I come to America and really getting to learn to understand America has been quite fascinating too. It's a very different culture. We tend to think that British and Americans speak the same language. We definitely don't. So I've been learning that. But the most recent trip, because I was presenting on how to be a successful woman in a man's world using my navigation map. So I spoke in Las Vegas, I spoke in New York City, and then I was invited to Manila. And this ended up being the February the 1st and 2nd of this year. And I got my ticket. I decided, I ummed and ahed about going, because I didn't really, it wasn't so much about the virus, but just generally, was it the right place to go at this time? But anyway, I decided to go, and I'm so glad I did. But the journey was into the eye of the storm of the virus. And I did end up going through Hong Kong airport, wearing my mask and cleaning my hands. And when I was in Manila, I presented at the conference, and everybody was aware of there were issues around, and it hadn't got to the pandemic level. So it was an interesting space to be in, but interesting in the space of a week. As I traveled back, Hong Kong airport was virtually empty, and my aircraft was empty, and everybody was very worried about being quarantined on the way back. So we were starting to go into this way of living that was going to be lockdown without understanding it. So going out there, one of the things I realized about traveling the world is that people are people, and everywhere people are wanting to create a better world. It's all about understanding each other, communicating, having conversations. So I was thrilled to be in Manila. I had met some amazing people. I had some wonderful, magical conversations. And I plan to go back there. I set the intention to go back in October, November, hoping and praying that the virus has become more controlled. I won't do anything risky with my health, although I will take risks in business. And I will take risks with people being more aware of themselves and putting themselves out there to bring happiness to this world, because I believe we now have the opportunity to do so. And my goal is to connect women and men across the world, picking up on my UK contacts, my Philippine contacts, Malaysia, obviously America, and then starting to spread into Europe, because we need to make sure we make the best of this time now. And I want to get those maps together, a map of the future, so we can all say, yes, we're absolutely 100% committed to having a world that is better, more compassionate, more respectful, more polite with each other, but just understanding that life is more important than wealth or money or business. I know we need business, but to blend it in a way that we understand the lighthouse and how that we can send our message out. You are a fantastic lighthouse for everybody at Chemo Buddies. I just totally honor you. You are amazing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a mutual admiration in society here going on, and you understand it because you've been there, and thank you for sharing that story. We talked about that, and for anybody that wants to learn more about that piece of it, you did share it in the other Service Heroes show, and I'll put a link into the comments so that they can watch that one also. But
Yes.
you gave some very good, solid information there too. You're always so generous with your information. You have so much of it. I mean, you have so much of it. Anytime I go and hear this woman, I've sat and listened to her many times. I'm always taking notes. I'm always learning something new. And we need to keep hearing the same information again over and over, and so that we can ingest it and own it, because truly this is a time, and I want to bring back that one image of the magic, because this right now is a time where we can truly create magic. And I'm going to let you right now take a few moments and spin some magic yourself, and give us your pearls of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with, and then I'm going to come back and close things down. But I really want everybody to have a moment with you in regards to all of this. Okay,
everyone out there, the first thing is to believe in your own. You are the most valuable thing in your life, person, spirit, physical body, whatever state it's in, whether it's well or not well, it's yours. It's your body, your mind, your heart, your soul. Value it. Work with it. Believe in it. But believe in the magic of people coming together. So remember, the value creation cycle says that if I understand me, I can more understand you and me, and we can make the we together. The other thing is to make sure that you understand your natural gift. You were born into this world with a natural gift. It could be as a musician, an artist, a mechanic, somebody who's very precise in how they do things, somebody who likes to talk a lot, somebody who likes a natural urge to dance. There are natural things that you do. You might be a natural extrovert, natural introvert, whatever it is, honor it and be it and believe in it. And in terms of magic in your conversations, know that when you listen with your heart and you draw it into your heart, whatever somebody is saying, there's always richness in whatever is being presented to you. Make sure that you're not in an angry situation. If anger does come into your world, then take time, pace yourself, go away, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Find something to do to dance, to listen to music, just to go out and breathe, listen to a meditation. Remember, the value creation comes from you. That's the first stage of the magic. And if you ever want to talk to me, I'm always here for you. Just sign up on my calendar and come and talk. Remember, magic is there, not mayhem. We want a world which is respectful, is loving, is trusting. We're seeing that in the way we're connecting to each other, even if it's online. There's something called the law of unintended consequences. The pandemic has given us unintended consequences which are magical, and that means they're unknown for many of us yet. So trust in the unknown and know that you can be the magic you have within you. Thank you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Thank you so very much. I know that so many of you have been well served here, being with us for this period of time here on Service Heroes. And as we close now, I want to, before I say everything, I just want to say thank you for honoring my request to come, because I have been hearing from so many, Pauline, that they're struggling, and you gave so many beautiful tools for us to be working with, and I am inspired to go find the magic in today. And you got me really thinking too. Okay, what is my good gift? I mean, what is it? And I'm going to come up with that. It. So as we close today, April the 18th, 2020, the Service Hero Show, 365 Days of Awesome, Celebrate Success Through Service, Pauline Crawford Omps. You are truly a service hero. You are the woman that is helping to bring magical conversations to people throughout our globe. And today, spending the time with us through this time we're calling a pandemic, that many are in need, ever so much in need, for a little bit of magic, a little bit of fairy dust, even, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, we can get this. We can do this. I can do this. We can find.
We can do it.
We can do this, and we can do this together, and then we can come out of this in a much better, healthy situation. And I, yes, can imagine that day, those days ahead. Yes. I am so excited to say that, we can heal through this. Yes, it's tough. And yes, some are really suffering. I'm not going to diminish that. And we are with them too. However, in the end, when we can come through this and come through this with the magic, just think anything is possible. Yes. All things are possible. Yes. All right. Well, thank you, my dear friend, for being here with us.
Thank you, everybody that's online and replaying. This is wonderful. It's an uplift for me. It's a magical conversation that makes me happy.
Well, thank you. Me too. I've learned so much, and I'm challenged. I love it. I'm going to work on it today. All right, everyone. Make it a great day. And for our chemo buddies for life, we are tonight in our closed group. We're having Success Saturday with Barbara Beckley. It always is so much fun there. And she helps us to find that success within ourselves and within our lives. It is a chat, so we share humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a lot of love there. So come and join us if anybody is in the mood to just have some fun and find some success within their own lives. All right, make it a great day. Bye, everyone.
Bye.